probably shouldn't. It would ruin the night shift for you.
What happened? What happened? What happened?
You mean you've never heard the story of the hash-slinging slasher?
What if events went differently? What if in SpongeBob's graveyard shift, the hash-slinging slasher was real? How would SpongeBob and Squidward go against this dark force? Find out in today's What If. Today, I'm going to take a look at an alternate reality where the hash-slinging slasher was not just a legend, but a very real threat in Bikini Bottom. In the dead of night, after the Krusty Krab had closed its doors for the evening and Mr. Krabs had retired for the night, Squidward, wearing his grumpy expression, was stuck working the graveyard shift with SpongeBob, the perpetually cheerful sponge. As they swept the floors, Squidward decided to tell a totally made-up story to pass the time. You see, SpongeBob, this is the tale of the hash-slinging slasher, Squidward began, a mischievous glint in his eye. A former fry cook who was driven mad by the constant smell of grease and the incessant chatter of customers, Squidward continued, embellishing the story with every passing sentence. He was fired from his job, and his mind snapped. And now, he roams the streets of Bikini Bottom, seeking revenge on anyone who dares to enter the Krusty Krab after dark, Squidward finished, the atmosphere in the room growing more ominous with each word. SpongeBob's eyes widened with excitement as he listened to Squidward's elaborate tale, completely captivated by the story of the hash-slinging slasher. Ooh, Squidward, that's so cool, SpongeBob said, his voice filled with intrigue. Tell me more. More. You want more, Squidward said, relishing the attention he was receiving from the gullible SpongeBob. Very well, I'll add a few more details. As the night wore on and the shadows in the Krusty Krab grew longer, SpongeBob continued to hang on Squidward's every word, completely believing that it was all just a spooky story. Meanwhile, outside the Krusty Krab, a figure shrouded in a tattered apron and a grotesque mask was watching the restaurant intently. The figure seemed to be waiting for something, a sinister gleam in their green eyes. It was the hash-slinging slasher, come to life out of Squidward's exaggerated story. But SpongeBob and Squidward had no idea of the danger lurking right outside their window. SpongeBob, still fully immersed in the story, continued to ask for more horrifying details from Squidward. The slasher has glowing eyes and an otherworldly voice, you see, Squidward said, milking the fear factor for all it was worth. And, my dear SpongeBob, the worst part of it all. But what? SpongeBob cried, his eyes wide with anticipation. The worst part of the slasher's tale. Squidward paused for dramatic effect, enjoying the suspense he was building. Go on, SpongeBob urged, his curiosity now fully whetted. The worst part is, Squidward took one last dramatic pause, savoring the suspense. What is it? What is it? SpongeBob exclaimed, leaning in closer, his anticipation at its peak. Very well, hold on tight, Squidward warned, his voice growing even more dramatic. I'm about to reveal the most terrifying secret of the slasher's tale. You see, my dear SpongeBob, the slasher doesn't just have glowing eyes and an otherworldly voice. There's something else that sets him apart. Something even more eerie. Something so chilling that it will send shivers down your spine. Are you ready to hear it? Yes, SpongeBob replied, his voice a nervous whisper. All right, but don't say I didn't warn you. The most terrifying thing about the slasher is that as the clock of the night tolled the hour of midnight, the malevolent slasher made his move. In a swift and sudden moment, he burst into the Krusty Krab, his enormous spatula poised in his grip. Unaware of the danger that lurked within the darkened building, the ever-smiling SpongeBob approached the slasher with a carefree and innocent demeanor, greeting him with a friendly offer to place his order. However, the slasher raised his giant cooking utensil, and with a single quick and precise motion, he flipped SpongeBob high into the air. The poor sponge landed with a sickening slither on the hard floor, his eyes frozen in terror as he realized that the tale of the slasher, as told by Squidward, was not just a simple fictional myth, but was in fact a terrifying reality. The slasher, having dealt with SpongeBob's unexpected interference in a manner that would give him a sense of satisfaction, turned his attention to the other customers who had strayed into the Krusty Krab, seeking a midnight snack. He descended upon them like a merciless predator, his spatula slicing through the air with chilling intent, claiming their lives with a viciousness born of madness. Meanwhile, Squidward, realizing to his horror that his own tale was true, gathered his feline companion Gary and took off running from the Krusty Krab, leaving behind the carnage unfolding within its walls. As the two fled the scene, the sound of screams and the grotesque sizzle of meat echoed behind them, a chilling reminder of the slasher's dark and dangerous presence. Squidward, his heart pounding with fear, refused to look back, knowing what he might encounter. The morning sun spilled over the city of Bikini Bottom, painting the ruins of the Krusty Krab in a macabre tableau. The townsfolk were in a frenzy, calling for the authorities to investigate the shocking events that had occurred. Meanwhile, Squidward, exhausted and fearful, had escaped the city with his loyal companion Gary fleeing the scene like a fugitive. He never dared to return to Bikini Bottom again, haunted by the memory of the slasher's terror and the horrors he had witnessed. And as for the slasher himself, tales of his nightmarish exploits continued to spread, a chilling warning etched into the nightmares of Bikini Bottom citizens. The Krusty Krab, once a symbol of joy and laughter, now stood as a reminder of the malevolent presence that still lingered in the shadows. If one were unfortunate enough to find themselves working the graveyard shift in that once beloved restaurant.